Imagine stepping onto an airliner and buckling in. We rarely consider the massive, invisible engineering decisions surrounding us as those engines spool up. But for over half a century, the global passenger aviation market has been almost entirely shaped by just two aerospace titans, Boeing and Airbus. Naturally, the first question asked about this rivalry is the most primal one. Is one of these companies building a safer airplane than the other? The reality is that modern commercial aviation is the most highly regulated transportation system on Earth. Both manufacturers must pass the exact same flawless certification requirements before a single passenger steps aboard. So if you're spending hours trying to book a flight based purely on internet safety rumors, you are wasting your time. This comparison matrix illustrates the reality. Since safety standards are matched, the rivalry centers on a deeper divide, opposing engineering philosophies regarding pilot authority and system automation. To understand that clash, we look at how they started. Boeing had a massive head start, founded by William Boeing in Seattle in 1916. They translated massive military manufacturing power from World War II directly into dominating the commercial jet age, with legendary aircraft like the 707 and 747. Airbus arrived decades later. It was created in 1970 as a coalition between European nations, specifically to break the American monopoly. At the time, there was deep skepticism that a divided European partnership could ever build an aircraft to successfully challenge Boeing's entrenched legacy. Because of that late entry, Airbus couldn't win by copying Boeing's homework. To survive, they had to invent a highly computerized approach to flying. This brings us to the central divide between the two companies. In a mid-air emergency, who should have the final say? The human in the seat or the computer in the floor? Boeing operates on a traditional philosophy. The human pilot must always retain ultimate physical control of the aircraft, with the ability to override automated systems. You can see this directly in their cockpit design. Most Boeing airplanes still feature the classic control yoke positioned squarely in front of each pilot. This setup allows pilots to push the airframe to extreme physical limits if that's what it takes to save the plane. The trade-off is that it heavily increases human workload during a crisis, relying entirely on the pilot's physical skill and judgment under pressure. Airbus takes the opposite approach. They believe the flight computer should act as an ultimate safety net to protect the aircraft from human error. To implement this, Airbus removed the large center yoke entirely, replacing it with a small side stick controller. That side stick is connected to a digital protection system that maintains a strict flight envelope. The computer will physically prevent the plane from stalling or banking dangerously. If a pilot inputs a command that breaches those safety limits, the computer simply ignores it. This table mapping out their logic flows shows the ultimate trade-off. Boeing trusts the pilot to save the airplane, while Airbus trusts the airplane to save the pilot. We see these philosophies play out every day in the single-aisle narrow-bodies that dominate short-haul travel. On one side is the Boeing 737. It has an incredibly reliable, historic architecture that dates all the way back to 1967. Its mechanical roots make the 737 deeply familiar and highly efficient for ground crews to maintain. However, because it is built on an older framework, it lacks the ground-up digital integration of newer designs. Airbus responded with the A320, an aircraft that shocked the aviation world upon its launch in 1987. The A320 was the very first commercial airliner to completely replace heavy mechanical linkages with fully digital fly-by-wire controls. This allowed Airbus to create a universally standardized cockpit environment. Because the computer handles the heavy lifting, a pilot can transition from a small Airbus to a massive one with minimal retraining. Looking at this scorecard, airlines face a clear choice. Buy the 737 for its rugged mechanical legacy and maintenance familiarity, or buy the A320 for digital standardization and massive pilot cross-training savings. But what about the passenger sitting in the back? On long-haul international flights, pilot workload matters less to you than physical comfort. Here we have the Boeing 787 Dreamliner, an aircraft built on a departure from traditional metal construction. By using heavy amounts of composite materials in the fuselage, Boeing created a cabin that can handle significantly higher internal pressure and humidity than an aluminum plane. For the passenger, this design noticeably combats physiological jet lag and dehydration on a 12-hour flight. For the airline, however, repairing these new composite materials introduces a steep learning curve for maintenance crews. Europe's answer is the Airbus A350, a carbon fiber counterpunch engineered for ultimate long-haul efficiency. The A350 features highly refined aerodynamic shaping and incredibly advanced acoustic insulation layered throughout the cabin. It sacrifices some of the 787's unique humidity features, but in exchange, it provides an exceptionally quiet, vibration-free environment that is perfect for sleeping. So for your next long flight, your priority dictates your booking. Choose the 787 to feel physically refreshed when you land, or choose the A350 for the ultimate silent sleep environment in the air. Declaring one manufacturer as the universally better airplane is a flawed premise. Multi-billion-dollar airline purchases are based on complex route economics, fuel efficiency, and long-term fleet strategy, not fanboy loyalties. This flowchart breaks down the choice. If you value tactile feedback, manual pilot authority, and a deep mechanical legacy, your philosophy naturally aligns with Boeing. If you believe peak efficiency, digital consistency, and software-driven safety nets are the future, your philosophy aligns with Airbus. You might not be buying an airliner anytime soon, but understanding these profound engineering differences elevates you from a passive passenger to an informed traveler. Next time you board a flight, pull the safety card out of the seat back pocket. Take a look and recognize the specific engineering philosophy you are sitting inside. Without 50 years of high-stakes competition between these two titans, the scale and safety of the global travel network we use today would not exist.